A window into the past has opened along the Lake Michigan shoreline just south of the White Lake Channel in Muskegon. Rough waves have calved off a giant section of a dune, revealing the remains of a shipwreck from the 1800s. And this isn't the first time this wreck has been exposed. And the ship's identity, not what was documented decades ago. 13 on your side's Brent Ashcroft joins us to show us the shipwreck identification process in our Michigan life.
It's only been exposed 2 known times before, 1942 and again in 1974. Then the wind, waves, and shifting sands buried it. For decades, the wreck was identified as the L.C. Woodruff, a schooner that foundered near the White Lake Channel in 1878. The remains will be buried again soon, and that's why members of the Michigan Shipwreck Research Association wanted to seize this opportunity and confirm it's the Woodruff or see if it's something else.
Mother Nature is a wild woman.
Stiff winds and huge waves are reshaping Lake Michigan's shoreline.
Every now and again, she pulls pieces of the beach away, exposes what might be there.
A former dune is now a bluff, revealing what's been hiding under it.
Give us a brief connection with our historic past.
The spine and ribs of a ship.
The same storms that a century ago brought these ships to their final end near shore are the same storms that are today eroding away at the sand.
When the wreckage was last exposed in 1974, a lighthouse keeper made the discovery.
He identified it as the L.C. Woodruff. That was the big schooner. He even recovered this piece of the bow stem from that wreckage.
Nobody questioned that it wasn't the Woodruff.
We learned from historical news accounts that 6 different schooners met their fate near the White Lake Channel.
Until now.
The channel wasn't always right here. The channel was 3/4 of a mile north.
That fact ruled out 3 of the wrecks.
So we're left with 3 possibilities. One is a small schooner named the Madison, the other is a medium schooner named the Contest, and the third is a schooner named the L.C. Woodruff, and that was 175 feet long.
Only one way to find out. Get down there, examine the remains.
Assess the condition of the wreck and get as much information as we can to try and get a good identification out of it.
The surf churned.
This isn't a whole ship, do you think?
While Valerie Van Heest
Did you want the dimensions of the keelson?
And Eric Harmsen measured, dug,
Okay.
then documented.
So if this were, say, 46 to 66, and this was a 125-foot ship, do you feel like this is in the right place for a ship that big?
It feels right.
They found something.
So we see a metal fitting here that would have been the pivot point for the centerboard trunk. This centerboard starting at about 50 feet into the ship. The centerboard is generally 10 or 12 feet long. We're probably looking at this as being about the middle, and then we know there's more of the ship buried.
As gawkers gathered, their investigation continued,
9-4.
ultimately leading to
We're starting to draw some conclusions.
an identification.
We can right away rule out that this was the smaller ship Madison. There's not a whole boat here. The Madison was only the length of what we're seeing here.
2 possibilities remain.
For this to be the L.C. Woodruff, it would have to have been a ship 3 times as long as the wreckage here. Just doesn't seem like it could be. It's starting to seem like this is probably the Contest, a ship lost in 1882.
The Contest sailed the Great Lakes and was used in the grain and lumber trade.
And here it is all these years later.
Mother Nature is a wild woman. Her fury gave us this gift.
It could be covered up again quite soon.
But it reappeared long enough to set the record straight.
Positive identification here as the Contest.
And allow people to see a real time capsule to the past.
We don't know if it'll be gone next week, and we don't know if it'll reappear again in the future.
Now, if you plan to go see the Contest, you're asked to take nothing from it. It is a historic treasure And if it appears again in another 40 years, future generations can enjoy what we're currently enjoying now. If you know of a story that should be featured on Our Michigan Life, send a detailed email to life@WZZM13OnYourSide.com. I will personally receive that email and I will follow up with you.
That
Pretty
is
fascinating stuff, don't you think?
absolutely, and the fact that you talk about people could see it in 40 years again as well, because I was asking for a minute, why aren't they excavating it? Why aren't they bringing it up to preserve it? But maybe that would damage it too much.
No, they're not allowed to do that either. The state of Michigan owns the rights to anything that is near or sinks in Lake Michigan, any shipwreck, so they can't do that. But the anatomy of a shipwreck investigation, you saw it happen right there. They got to check the boxes in a process of elimination to determine what the identity of that ship was.
It's fun seeing that happen. Thank you very much, Brent.